Hi, welcome to Tarcher Talks. I'm Joel Fatinos. I'm your host, and I'm also the publisher here at Tarcher. And today we're going to talk about a topic that really affects every single person, and that is money. Financial prosperity and abundance, how to get it, what it is, and really the steps that will lead you to experiencing more of it. And today, we're actually going to turn the tables a little bit. Usually, I'm the one interviewing an author, but today we have the head of publicity and marketing here at Tarcher, Brianna Yamashita, who is going to actually interview me because I created this book with a friend of mine called the Think and Grow Rich Workbook. And so, Brianna, it's fun to turn the tables and have you actually interview me and me answer the questions. I'm on the hot seat.
Can I ask you anything?
You can ask me anything.
All right. Well,
Almost.
Okay. We'll start with how about just tell us a little bit about Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich was created by Napoleon Hill. And Napoleon Hill was a man that was born into poverty. At a certain point in his life, he became a reporter. And one of his assignments was to interview leading men of his time. And one of the men that he interviewed was a man named Andrew Carnegie, who was the great industrialist and billionaire, really probably the richest man of his time. During the course of his interviewing Andrew Carnegie, Carnegie really gave him a commission, a charge, and said, and challenged Napoleon Hill to go out and interview 500 of the most successful men and women of their time. Most of these people were millionaires, they were leaders of industry, leaders of all the different areas in the United States. Napoleon Hill dedicated 20 years of his life to pursuing this. And at the end of 20 years, he put all that he had learned together into a philosophy of achievement, he called it. And the first book he created was called The Law of Success. And shortly after that came a book called Think and Grow Rich, which was a smaller version of The Law of Success. And this book has gone on to sell millions and millions of copies.
Yeah, I mean, it sells millions today too, which is
Right.
surprising. So why do you think it actually sells so much and continues to sell, even though it's been such a long time since he originally wrote it?
Well, I think it sells, I think it's one of the best written self-help books ever written. I also think that it's short, it's precise, it's clear, it is instructional, it's practical. But I think the real reason this book continues to sell, even all these years after it was originally published, is because it works. The ideas in this book are so practical and commonsensical and inspiring that it continues to bring a new generation, every generation, to the ideas that he has. It works. It's mentioned in probably almost every single book that continues to come out about achieving financial success, but this book is better than those books that reference it.
Well, I know it's obvious that you love it, and I actually know that you even teach it sometimes.
Yes.
But how did you originally discover it?
I actually discovered this book through a kind of a funny experience. A friend of mine and I had written a novel that we wanted to get published, and we were meeting with roadblock after roadblock on the journey to publication. And at a certain point, we were frustrated, and we decided to just put the novel aside and to read something that was inspirational to kind of get us back in that creative mode. And we decided to pick up Think and Grow Rich. And from that point on, we read the book, we used the principles, and by using the principles, actually, we ended up getting the novel accepted by a publisher, and it was published, and it did extremely well.
That's great. Well, so how do you go from there to writing this workbook? I mean, why turn it into a workbook?
Well, during that process, when we were reading this book to kind of get ourselves back into the creative mode, we were reading it, and he has many suggestions of what to do. And we decided that we were going to do every single suggestion that was listed in the book. Now, Think and Grow Rich is divided into 13 steps. He has 13 steps toward this kind of mindset, the Think and Grow Rich mindset. And as we were going through those 13 steps, one step a week, we would individually read the chapter, and then we would come together every single week for 13 weeks, and we would talk about the chapter and how it applied to our lives, and help each other as we wrestled with it. we decided in the course of that, as we were working every single exercise, to begin putting the exercises down on paper. And so every single exercise he had down on here, we would put on a sheet of paper, and we created a notebook of all the exercises. And that was the genesis, actually, of the workbook. As we did that, it was very helpful for us to put it on paper and actually use it. It became kind of like almost like a journal of our experience of reading Think and Grow Rich over those 13 weeks. And we also put in pages that had inspiring quotes from the book, or stories. He has great stories in the book that are very inspiring. We put it all together into this notebook, and then through our center that we have together, Sacred Center New York, we began teaching Think and Grow Rich, and we began using those very notebooks that we created for ourselves in teaching it, and we saw how powerful it was for people to have a notebook alongside the copy of Think and Grow Rich as they were reading it. It helped them go through the book in a systematic way and to really know where they were on the journey.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So how will the workbook help them or help people as they read Think and Grow Rich?
The way you do it is you use the notebook side by side with the book. The way we did it was to take one step a week and really chew that step as thoroughly as possible, apply it to our life in every way we could think of. So the workbook and the book are designed to be read side by side. As you read a chapter, we have a correlating section in the workbook that you can you'll read his ideas for an exercise, and there it is on the page, and you can actually do it and use it and write right inside the workbook and use it as a journal.
Mm-hmm. So it really is a tool, it sounds like.
It's a practical tool.
So you're also the reader for the Penguin audio editions of Napoleon Hill's books. So what was the experience of reading it like?
That was a fun thing to do. Being the voice of Napoleon Hill on the audio editions was a tremendous opportunity, and it was a lot of fun to do. It was hard work because doing the audios, voicing the audios are hard work, but what I loved most about it was reading Napoleon Hill's words out loud. It's so inspiring. He was such a clear writer, and as I would read his words, I would just get swept up in what he had to say, and the next thing I knew, we were several chapters into the book, and I just kept learning his message over and over again. It's been great to put it on audio. I've actually gotten a lot of emails and letters from people who listen to the audios over and over again in the same way that I use the book and the workbook. The more you listen to it, the more the message seems to sink in and stick.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like the audio would actually go really well with the workbook because
That's
you listen
true.
to it and then you can actually do it when you go home.
That's right. I don't know if I can do that because I don't know if I want to hear my own voice, but absolutely, I think that's a great suggestion.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you very much. It actually was really kind of pretty illuminating, and thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for watching as well. Stay with us because in the next segment, I'm going to go over each of the 13 steps that Napoleon Hill covers in Think and Grow Rich and that we cover in the Think and Grow Rich workbook. We're going to go through each of the 13 steps, so it's going to be important and you're going to really enjoy it.